Hey there. It's time to start a new mini-series. I think this is going to be a total of about maybe 5 videos, I think. So the first 2 are going to be about my travels in England for work. And yeah, so those are going to be the first 2. So these all took place before I was married. I was in my early 30s. And I did a lot of traveling for the Navy. So I would normally travel 3 weeks at a time. So I'd be in one place, then a week in between, another place, and then a week in between another place. So I had the weekends to travel and to do a little bit of sightseeing, and then I would go home after 3 weeks and catch up on mail and, bills and laundry. I don't know, he does this whenever, he can be on the couch the entire time, and as soon as I start to do a video, he's like right here in my face. All right, buddy, you're ridiculous. Anyways. So this trip was 3 weeks, and the first 2 weeks were both in England. But the first week was in London, and the second week was down on the Central Coast in an area called Newquay in the Cornwall region. So the first week, when I was in London, I was able to get a ride to and from work from one of the people who worked at the Navy base. And by the time I finished my first week of work, then I had to rent a car to drive to my second week, which was down the coast. Which was fine. I traveled by myself all the time. I always traveled alone, which I enjoyed. It was always fun to go to a new place and figure things out. But this was a little more challenging because they rented me a car, the Navy did, and it was a British car, which meant that it was, not only did I have to learn how to drive on the wrong side of the road, the opposite side of the road, but I had to drive on the opposite side of the car, and oh, by the way, it was a manual transmission, so I had to shift with my left hand. Now, the manual transmission is fine. I've always had manuals. I prefer them, actually. But that was kind of a challenge, and I had to get out of downtown London. Oh, dog. I'm gonna break my teeth. I had to get out of downtown London, driving this car on the wrong side of the road, wrong side of the car, shifting with my left hand. Totally different, traffic rules with roundabouts and zebra crossings and all that stuff. So I made it out of London, and I took the drive down to Newquay on the M1, on the motorway. So I drove on the motorway, and the people drove like crazy maniacs. They were so fast. I was amazed. By the time I got to where I was going for the night, it was very late, very dark, and I was very tired. And the Navy had put me up at a place called the Glendorgal Hotel, which was an old hotel that was up on a cliff. Beautiful old hotel, but really old. So I checked in at the desk, got my key, they told me where my room was, and I walked in these narrow hallways that were kind of musty smelling, and the floors were like not level at all. And I got to my room and I unpacked, put my toiletries away, put my clothes away, and I just collapsed into bed. I don't even think I ate dinner. I didn't pay any attention to where my room was. There was a bed and I was tired. In the middle of the night, a sound woke me from a dead sleep. And it was like the craziest sound I'd ever heard, like crashing noises, and I couldn't identify what it was. And I jumped out of bed and I went to the window, and it had like the crank style open windows, and I opened the window and it was the ocean. This room, well, first of all, the hotel sat on a cliff that was on the ocean. Yes, buddy. And alongside of the hotel was an inlet. So when the tide would come in, the water would rush into that inlet and the waves would crash up against the cliffs right underneath my window. Yeah, it was really loud, so I didn't sleep very well that night. But it was a beautiful hotel, and it was a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. Lovely weather. It was warm and sunny most of the time. It was in June. I don't think it rained the entire 2 weeks I was in England, if you can believe that. But in the evenings, after dinner, everybody would just go for strolls along the cliff sides, these rolling hills on the cliffs, because it was light until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So I really enjoyed my time there. So that's story number 1 of my waking to weird noises because the ocean was crashing into my window practically. And that will be all the story for tonight. Tomorrow will be week 2 in England, and oh boy, it's a story. So I hope you enjoyed that little recounting of my first week in England, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care, and God bless.